When considering whether or not to purchase a high-end rental property, you might be wondering, who would pay $2,000 a month to rent a house?
What's up, Legacy Builders? I'm Rob.
I'm Reshawn, and this is Learn, Hustle, Grow. We help you build wealth and explore entrepreneurship so that you can leave a legacy.
She's a travel agent.
He's a realtor.
And we are debt-free entrepreneurs.
So why would someone pay $2,000 a month in rent? There are always those who just don't see themselves as homeowners. For whatever reason, they don't want to deal with the maintenance or the upkeep or just the overall responsibility of home ownership.
Yep, and some people move so much that they are just not ready to settle down.
Then there are those who have jacked up credit scores. The truth is, if you got bad credit, you can't qualify for a mortgage.
Myth. People who make six figures have great credit.
The truth is, you can make lots of money and still have a bad credit score.
Yep.
The amount of money you make has absolutely nothing to do with your credit score.
Only knowledge can help us understand money. It's not about making more money, it's about managing your debt.
Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
We don't want you to miss a single video. If you're watching this channel, then you're seeking information for yourself or those ones that you love.
After all, that's what a legacy builder does. There can be any number of reasons for having a bad credit score.
Yep, maybe co-signing for somebody.
Yeah, there are those occasions when a friend or family member might need help and then they reach out and ask if you wouldn't mind being their co-signer.
Well, I do mind, and we don't make it a policy of co-signing for anyone.
Yeah, actually our practice is to never do it.
Yeah. Also, medical bills. Right?
Yeah, medical bills can really do damage to your credit score. And that's why we always say we hope that if you're watching, you have some form of health insurance.
Right. We were just irresponsible with our credit. That's how we had terrible credit scores.
That is true. We weren't irresponsible together, but we were both irresponsible in our 20s.
Right. If you know my story or not, then I got my first credit in the Marine Corps. I was 19 and they sent me this credit card. There was $1,000 limit for the first time.
It's always $1,000.
And I was like,
no matter where you are.
I am paid, right? Even though I had never seen $1,000 in my life, you know, just growing up super broke.
Yeah.
And then I went straight to the electronics store, bought me a little component system stereo, bought some new clothes and shoes, and I was...
That $1,000 went far.
Yeah, I was out in Japan, so that's why it really went far, because everything was much cheaper, everything was made cheaper, you know, as far as clothes and stuff like that. And man, I just had a field day on it, and soon thereafter, I was making a $15 payment on that card.
Oh, wow.
Thinking that, hey, if I make this $15 payment, as long as I make that, then I'm good to go. And I noticed after about a good 3-4 months that balance wasn't moving. I was owing more than, you know, I was paying back, right?
Yeah. So, I know, like I said, that $1,000, you know, must be the rule everywhere, because I got hit with the $1,000 credit card in college.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think I actually had a couple of them. It was more than one.
Did you max it out?
I'm pretty sure I did. I started out by just buying university paraphernalia. I was really excited about being a student at the University of Illinois. Go Illini. Fighting Illini out there if you're watching, what's up? And I was buying the sweatshirts, the jackets,
just getting it
the backpacks, and who knows where all that stuff
colors?
Went. Orange and navy.
Orange and navy. Oh, I love navy.
Yeah.
I wonder where we got that theme from, huh? Anyway, but yeah. So
so we were bad with credit in general. Both of us got sunk by credit cards, me in college and him in the military.
Indeed.
So in this video, we are going to talk about how you can improve your credit score.
The first step is to know your credit score. Don't wait until you actually need the score or trying to get a loan to go and check it at that time.
Right. If you are going to buy a home or a car, you need to have a good credit score in order to get the best loan.
Right. As a realtor, I've seen plenty of times where people come and they haven't checked their score, don't even know what the score is, and they got less than like a 500, and they're trying to get a house because they figure, hey, I have a big down payment. But if you're not buying it cash, then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
You need at least bare minimum for a FHA loan to have a 580 score. So
that's right. And checking your credit score does not bring your credit score down. Right. So the first step is knowing your credit score.
Do you know your score?
Second, you do not have to pay for your credit score.
No, there are apps out here like Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, and you can use the app or their website, and you can constantly monitor your credit and keep track of it without paying $1.
Yeah, there was a time when there were all kinds of ads and commercials promoting opportunities for you to pay for your score or to sign up for a service where you would actually get your score online at a fee. But that's no longer necessary.
And many people think that there's only one credit score, but that's not true.
That's not true because each of us actually gets 3 credit scores. One for each of the 3 credit bureaus.
Yep, you got Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Yep. Now that you've checked your credit score and you're aware of the fact that you have 3, the next step is to pull a copy of your credit report.
Indeed.
And you can do this free at annualcreditreport.com.
Yep. Pulling that credit report gives you an opportunity to go ahead and start disputing things that might not be yours or any discrepancies, right? I remember the first time I pulled this report, and I mean, it was a long rap sheet, it looked like, from the 3, because you get all 3, credit bureaus. And it was a lot of the stuff on there that the companies were gone away, had shut down, or a couple of them weren't even mine. So it was like amazing to me to see them delete stuff off of my credit reports that wasn't even mine, right?
Yeah, and it really, if you have a common name like Robert Lee,
oh my God,
you will find that you can have all kinds of discrepancies and charges that belong to other people. And that's one of the first steps. One of the easiest things you can do to actually increase your credit score is to dispute any of those things that don't belong to you. And once those things start to fall off, you'll see your credit score start to go up. But you do have to do it with each of the 3 bureaus.
Yeah. What's really cool, though, is they have 30 days to figure out what's going on and why those things are there. If they can't within the 30 days, they are gone. And that will change that score almost immediately.
Next, it's important that we know the 5 factors that actually make up our credit card score.
Yes. The first one is credit card utilization, right? So if you have a limit of $5,000, right? And then you go and you use $5,000, you've used the full amount of your credit, which
100% utilization.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Maxing it out.
Right. But if you have $5,000 and you only use $1,000 of that, then you're only using what?
20%?
20% of that. 20% of that. So the lower you keep that utilization, then the better your score, continues to rise, right?
Yeah. Ideally, for the highest score, you want to keep your use down to about 10% of the total credit available to you.
And credit utilization makes up 30% of your credit score. So keep that in mind.
The second area to keep in mind is the length of credit history.
Yes.
This portion actually makes up 15% of your overall credit score.
Right. If you have accounts that you have had open for a long time and are still in good standing, you might not want to close those.
Right. Actually, you want to make sure that you are utilizing them regularly, even if it's just to pay a utility bill or something small like that. You charge it and pay it off immediately.
A longer credit history provides a better picture to the creditor about your financial behavior.
The next 35% of your credit score is actually comprised of your payment history and whether or not you have paid on time.
Of course, yeah. Our policy is we like to pay either bill pay or automatic payments from the credit card. I know a lot of people don't like to do the automatic payments, but once you start getting a handle on your credit, that's probably the best way to do it. That way you'll never be late and that score will always be going up.
Yeah, and what's the difference? Bill pay goes through your bank. So you can actually schedule the payment to go out before it's due directly to the bill that you're paying or the credit card that you're paying.
Yeah.
Automatic payments is when you schedule it so that the credit card company pulls that money from your checking account to pay the credit card bill itself.
We usually do the automatic one these days to the credit card because we love to get those points and those free plane tickets. The fourth component that makes up the next 10% of your credit score is credit inquiries.
Yeah, this is where we start to talk about what's called a hard inquiry on your credit.
Right.
When you are out looking for a house or looking for a car, and those individuals run your credit in order to determine whether or not you're qualified for the loan, that is a hard inquiry.
Yeah, if you keep running a bunch of those, then that's going to affect that score, right? That's why people always, the myth was always, hey, if you run your credit score, if you run a check, then your score is going to go down. This is why people say that.
Yeah, there's a difference between a hard and a soft inquiry.
Yeah. And the soft.
And when you are checking your own credit, that's a soft inquiry.
Right.
Now, these inquiries actually stay on the credit report for up to 2 years.
Right. And you were saying something about back when you were going to buy a car, right?
Before I recognized the importance of getting my
pre-qualification?
Yes, getting my pre-qualification before I started shopping for a car, I actually went to multiple dealerships, test drove a car, and allowed 2 or 3 dealerships to check my credit.
I did the same thing, and that's a big no-no, right? That's why you got to get pre-qualified. That way, you don't have all those hard inquiries on your credit.
Yep, so that's it. Number 4 is credit inquiries. The 5th and final component of your credit score that makes up about 10% is actually credit mix.
Yes. Credit mix, it's a little vague when they talk about it on the credit bureaus and stuff like that, but they're saying that you should have a variety of types of credit, right? For example, this one kind of ticked me off because I was like, okay, I have a great score. You know, I had like high 7s and I was like trying to get to like the 850 or whatever. And it says, hey, you're not moving because of your variety. And I'm like, variety? And I dug deeper, looked, and it said, hey, because I did not have a car payment, then my score was suffering and it could be higher. So wait a minute, you want me to get a car payment so I can get a higher score? That's what we had to part ways right there on the...
Yeah. You're just not going to have the perfect credit score if you are going to pay off certain things like a car note. But it's just important to be aware of the fact that that is a component.
Honestly, you can get almost anything you want once you hit the 750 mark. So it doesn't matter at that point to me.
Right.
So.
Even 700, I would think, is considered to be fairly high for most people.
Yeah. So that's 5 credit components, right?
Yep. Now that you know the 5 components of what makes up your credit score, it makes sense that the next step in order to get your credit score improved is to make your payments on time. Do not make a late payment.
Right. Once you make a late payment after 30 days, then it goes on your credit report and it's stuck there for 7 years.
Yeah.
So even if you pay late after a couple, you know, your payment date is this day, like the 1st, and then you pay 10 days later or 15 days later, then you still haven't hit that 30 days, right?
Right. You're going to have to pay that late payment and the interest on that.
Yeah.
But at least it hasn't hit your credit report.
Right. And sometimes you can even ask them, hey, you know, if you know, it's a first offense or maybe even a second, hey, can you waive this so, you know, I won't have to pay this late fee? But once you hit the 30 days, that's when the real trouble begins, right? It goes on the score on your credit report and it stays there for 7 years no matter what.
Yeah. I had an experience with this recently, even though I knew better.
Right.
It was the fact that I'd used a store credit card in order to take advantage of a discount or a promotion.
And then you forget and you pay that main credit card.
Yes, I forgot because it was such a small balance, guys. It was under $100.
Yeah.
I just forgot that I'd even made the charge.
Right.
And I didn't have anything come into my email or my mailbox. I completely missed it.
Right. We love a specific card so we can get our points. And then sometimes the stores will have sales and we have the credit, you know, just to make our, you know, credit utilization a bit larger, right? But we sometimes go and use those separate cards or whatever, and that's probably what happened, right?
And that messed me up. I actually stopped using that retail card after that because that is still sitting on my credit report. I think that was 2 to 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The worst thing that can happen, though, is like what I did back in the day. After 180 days, you go into charge-off status. That's when the company just gives up and says, you know what? This person's not going to pay. I'm going to go ahead and sell this account to someone else. And then you had those people stalking and hawking you, right? Calling your phone and whatever and sending you letters or whatever.
Yeah.
And the charge-offs that I had, when we met, I had just gotten rid of like 12 charge-offs because my credit was so horrible back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, you would have never known, but.
Yeah. And I will tell you there, you know, people allow things to go into charge-off not realizing what a big impact it's going to have on the future. So when you apply for a job, an employer cannot see your actual credit score, but they can pull your credit report. And the credit report shows your credit history, which gives them an idea of how responsible you've been or how irresponsible you've been.
The next step to improve your credit score is just to simply pay down debt.
That is absolutely correct. The more debt you can pay down, the better your score will look. And the general rule of thumb is to pay down the highest interest rate debt first.
Right. Unless that loan is super huge.
In which case, you might want to try the debt snowball.
Indeed. Our final tip for improving your credit score is don't charge anything that you can't pay off in 30 days.
Absolutely. The truth is, overspending on items that you can't afford to pay off immediately only hurts you in the long run.
If you have a high credit card balance, then stop charging immediately. Come back to the credit card after you know you can get to the point where you can pay it off every 30 days.
Yeah. Being able to manage your credit is part of being able to manage your life. Credit is necessary. You can do this. You just need a plan.
Indeed. Got any tips on how to improve your credit score? Did we miss anything?
What's been your experience with using credit cards? Do you pay off your balance in 30 days?
Comment below.
We want to hear from you.
See you in the next video.